How was
It's
the
usually
assassination? How was his how was
how's
his
what?
assassination suspect? What gives you that? How was his assassination what you call suspect? What makes it
Uh,
suspect to you? I mean, public figures get
the whole
assassinated.
Superman. I mean, there's a whole bunch of. We could go down the whole line. The ballistics. I mean, you didn't find the killer. That the FBI couldn't find the killer. His dad turned him in. I mean, you want to go down the whole list? We can list the. That's the program. I'm
Did
saying we can
did
go
he?
down the whole list of
They
super
knew who he was.
suspects. What do you mean they knew who he was? His father turned him in.
They
They didn't
figured
have
out.
no idea. They
They
arrested
figured out
somebody
who he
else.
was. Yeah.
Yeah, but how
I ain't
often does
arrested
somebody's
somebody else.
parents
Are you
turn in
serious?
Okay.
their kid? That stood out
Once
to me
they
as
There's a conversation to be had. Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
What's going on? What's going on? Back for another episode of the Conversation to Be Had podcast. I'm your host, Chavo, with my co-host, Rashawn, and we're going to discuss today the Charlie Kirk assassination conspiracy theories that have been going around. Led by Candace Owens.
It's been
So,
crazy. It's, it's,
yeah.
it's it's absolutely been crazy, brother, watching some of this. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even a big Candace Owens fan. I never paid too much attention to her, but I've been watching a few things on her, and the type of conspiracies that she's spewing right now, just I don't know, man. There's some insane theories. Be interested to get into. We could dig into that. You know what I mean?
All right, we're going to bring the panel in.
What's going on?
So,
Hey there,
guys,
guys.
What's up, guys?
how you
All right.
doing?
well, it's good, everybody. How
Hello.
you doing?
All right, so we're going to discuss Charlie Kirk once again, the assassination. When it first happened, I'm pretty sure everybody had questions about it because I mean, all of it doesn't add up. I mean, FBI didn't even catch him. His father turned him in, so I mean, we could start with that. Like the ballistics. I mean, it's just a various amount of issues that surrounded it that really weren't right. And on top of that, we really haven't had much, what I would say, investigation into these, oddities in the whole assassination. So, we'll start with you, Sean.
I mean, honestly, I think that, when somebody high profile like that gets assassinated, it comes with a lot of conspiracy theories. You're always going to have those. Now, I do think that, there's a lot of things that can be always checked into and looked into better. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's hard to say right now at this juncture of the investigation what they've done or what they haven't done or anything like that, because we're not in there. We don't know what the FBI is looking for or what they found or anything. So it's hard to say that. So now we got these conspiracies floating around and they gain momentum. So, I don't know. I don't know what I believe. I do think that I tend to follow what the mainstream, what the government says and everything like that until I'm shown differently. I will say that.
Okay. Nancy? How do you
I'm
feel?
kind of with Rashawn on that. I think the reason there's so many conspiracies is it was too easy. They got the person quickly, and it was too simple. So they got to come up with other ideas and thoughts, and I think a lot of it's craziness myself.
Okay. Jim?
It's one of these things where this country and like our media ecosystem is just so indoctrinated in a conspiracy at this point that whenever anything happens, we are looking for outlandish explanations constantly. Like, I really do think, based on what we know, that Charlie Kirk was just shot by a confused kid. But it has to be a radical leftist or a trans girlfriend or Israel or the CIA, or it can't just be a confused kid. And that's just where we are as a country at this point.
Okay. V?
Yeah, I think a lot of the conspiracies honestly started because of how the FBI couldn't actually find the guy first. They found multiple people said this is the guy, and then it wasn't the guy. They found someone else, and it wasn't the guy. And the third time they said it was the guy, it came out that the mother and father actually convinced him to go turn himself in. And at first, even I didn't want to believe that. But as the evidence started rolling out, and you saw there was some really good reporting by like people like Kleppenstein who actually interviewed the friends and stuff, then it started making sense. But in the beginning, I didn't believe it either, because when you read the text messages of this guy, it sounded like a love poem from the 1870s. Like, oh, my Adora, I did this for us. I mean, like, who talks like that? But apparently, when you looked into the old Discord messages and stuff, he actually does talk like that. So the story from the government does make sense, and I agree with Jim. It was just a guy who got pissed off. And, I could put, some 2-cent psychological profile on this guy. But at the end of the day, it was just some kid who decided that he was going to end someone's life. And that's really what it is.
Okay. Jen, what you thinking?
Never thought I'd say this, but I agree with Jim and V.
Whoa.
It was just a
my
confused
God.
kid. And I disagree with Nancy. I don't think it was too easy. They did have people coming up, like, taking credit for it, like, it was some kind of badge of honor. And so that kind of threw them off. But they had all that video from the ring cams right away, and him leaving the gun the way he did. They tracked him down pretty fast. It was more the parents turned him in because the FBI knew who he was, and they were going to come for him. And I don't think the parents wanted them showing up at their house.
Yeah, pretty
I
fast,
think
too
they
easy.
tried to facilitate it so that their son didn't get killed in, death by police or whatever. I think that's what that was about. I don't think it was too easy, but I don't think it was too fast. I mean, there was nothing about what happened that made me think like, oh, that's not right. Everything seems like it's pretty well ordered. So.
Okay. Doc?
But the internet breeds conspiracies, and I think everybody's just looking for something to do or say about anything. And, they get their little 15 seconds of fame, 15 minutes of fame by making up these weird things, and people attached to it. That's all.
Doc?
Yeah, I'll put it out here. I'm probably one of the only people that wasn't watching live stream when it happened and still haven't seen any video of him losing his life. But in the aftermath, there were some details. It seemed like they didn't fit, like people were saying before. But I think, like someone else said before, it's just people capitalizing, using this situation just to, get their 10 seconds of fame with the crazy story, clickbait, things like that. So I don't know that there's a lot of there with what's going on these days.
Okay. Now, my opinion, I kind of was with you, Doc, on that. Like, I didn't think it was, I just thought they had to figure it out, so to speak. But then I started thinking following the money. And usually when you follow the money, you can find, reasons for various actions. And this Turning Point USA makes millions and I could only get 2023, but they made $85 million. So I'm thinking, okay, that's almost $100 million. What do they do? So then I'm researching what they do, and they go to college campuses and basically try to uh, convert people to conservatism. I mean, and this is just off the internet. Like you ask you ask Google what is turning point, and I'm thinking to myself like, okay, there's nothing wrong with that, but how does that equate to $100 million? So then when you have that in the mix, and then your wife is she's a successor to this company, and then she's not really asking any questions, and your assassination was really kind of suspect. I mean, I'm thinking to myself like, yeah, I mean, when you put that type of money involved, there can be some shady stuff going on. Anybody got any comments on that? I'm just saying, like, when you put that type of money into it,
How
it
is
there's
how is the
usually
assassination? How is his how is
how's
his
what?
assassination suspect? What gives you that? How was his assassination what you call suspect? What makes it
Uh,
suspect to you? I mean, public figures get
the whole
assassinated.
Superman. I mean, there's a whole bunch of. We could go down the whole line of ballistics. I mean, you didn't find the killer. The FBI couldn't find the killer. His dad turned him in. I mean, you want to go down the whole list? We can list them. That's the program. I'm
Did,
saying we can
did
go
he?
down the whole list of
They
super
knew who he was.
suspects. What do you mean they knew who he was? His father turned him in.
They
They didn't
figured
have
out.
no idea. They
They
arrested
figured out
somebody
who he
else.
was. Yeah.
Yeah, but how
I,
They
often does
arrested
somebody's
somebody else.
parents
Are you
turn in
serious?
Okay.
their kid? That stood out
Once
to me
they once
as
they
something
went
strange.
through
Jen, we had me and
once
Rashawn
they
had a
went
whole
through all
discussion
the
on
main
whether we
camera
turn
footage in the
our son in.
neighborhood.
Huh?
I will say,
Okay.
as
Can I
far as
finish
like
my sentence now?
sorry,
His father turned him in off of
You're
a
fine.
rifle that his grandfather had to. I mean, it's just a lot of. This is super
Yeah,
suspect.
because he
I
left it
mean,
at the crime scene because the police were right there. I don't think there's anything suspect about that. The kid screwed up. He was a young kid. He wasn't some super sniper like people were talking about. Oh, nobody could make that
Yeah.
shot. Bullshit. My 16-year-old son could make that shot easy with the
I
rifle that he was using.
I
Very
was going to
easily.
mention
I
that,
could
Jen.
make that
Like
shot like that.
the
That
the early narrative, if you went to Twitter, was a bunch of like influencers coming out and being like, "This had to have been a highly trained sniper," and it's like,
oh, it's a
actually,
military
no.
sniper.
Yeah,
hmm
no. Actually,
Yeah,
anyone that knows how to
not at
shoot
all.
could make that shot. So this is where the immediate like
Exactly.
conspiracy brain comes
Exactly.
in.
My
Is
son was
that
making
was
shots like that when he was 10.
and
I'm
next hole bullets,
The
next
what?
hole bullet, Doc.
I'm a very average shot.
What?
I can make that one.
I mean, we got a doctor on the panel. I mean, next hole bullets.
Yeah,
You know,
I
you
could have
can
made
take.
it.
You could have,
Wait,
whatever.
what's the next whole bullet?
Neck, your neck. I can
Oh,
shoot you in the
oh,
neck, and it's
Yeah,
just
what do
gonna hold the bullet. It's not gonna
yeah,
go
what
through.
about it?
No go through,
oh.
and especially with the type of cartridge that he used, it just sat in his neck.
So,
Really?
The
I
distance
mean, it
that he
depends
was
on what it
shooting
hit.
from,
If it hits
the
bone, the
distance he
velocity
was
slows
shooting
down.
from, the angle that he
Uh,
got shot
You
at,
got the only
yeah,
bone in your
it
neck is your
hit his
vertebrae.
spine
So
instantly.
if
I
it's
mean,
in your vertebrae, it's cutting your head off, basically.
yeah.
No, that's the only
depends on
bone in your neck.
velocity.
The only
Who said
bone in
there
your
was?
neck is
Who said
your
it didn't
vertebrae,
go
right?
through?
I mean,
Who
I'm
said
not
it
a
didn't go
doctor.
through?
He's a doctor. I'm asking, is the only
It's
bone
the
in your neck is
autopsy.
your
It
vertebrae,
didn't go
right?
through. It
Correct?
didn't go through.
Am I correct?
Yeah.
Mm.
And at
Okay.
400
Did it hit
yards,
his vertebrae? No.
at 400 yards or whatever the
No.
distance was, yes, it
Yeah,
did. It hit his
there,
vertebrae. It hit his
there's
spinal
no
cord. That's why he died instantly.
there's no
That's why he
evidence
went
that
like
he
this
there's no evidence that the
because
kid
he
wasn't
was
even aiming
instantly
for
dead.
for. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
so I'm confused. So are we saying that? Okay, so are we arguing that he didn't really get shot by the kid? Is that what we're arguing right now? Because I thought that was kind of, established. But is that what we're
So,
arguing
No,
about? Like,
it's
Charlo
not
doesn't
because
believe that he didn't get
no,
shot by
no,
him
I know,
because the bullet didn't go through all the way through his neck,
I know. Like
and
where,
that's
where,
the
that
where
same
have
way,
you
doesn't
gotten
always
same
that
way I
piece
happen.
don't
of
believe Lee
information
Harvey
I
from?
Oswald
agree.
shot dude from the building. It was
but
somebody else.
okay,
I
Can
believe
I
he
okay.
ask
shot
a
somebody
question?
else.
The autopsy said the bullet did not go through him.
Did they release the autopsy? I
Yes.
don't think they released the autopsy.
No, but that they were publicizing that the
I
doctor
saw
said
information. I saw
the
stuff
doctor
about
that
the
performed the
autopsy
autopsy
online.
said he was
I think
Superman
that's part of the
because
conspiracies is they're giving false information. I don't know for sure anyway. That I don't think the autopsy report's been released. So if just because someone said
I've seen
it,
stuff on the autopsy.
Well,
have you?
so even so,
I haven't. That's why I'm
Yeah.
asking.
but even so, like Doc said, it would depend on like the size of the bullet, where the bullet hit. It's a possibility that the bullet might not have exited the neck. Am I correct in saying that, Dr. Adili?
Right. So the further the distance away, the
It's
slower
possible.
the velocity of the bullet.
Right.
So the farther away he is, the less likely that the bullet's going to have the force to go through and through. When the bullet makes contact, the skin doesn't offer much resistance. The muscle offers more resistance, and of course, bone is either going to stop a bullet or deflect and then cause some type of ricochet. Now, I've seen bullet wounds where they bounce off other solid organs or more dense muscle tissue. So without a true autopsy, we're just speculating about what the course or what the path of the bullet was.
Right.
But is it possible that it doesn't go through? Again, the further the distance away is, the less velocity it has, the more likely it's going to meet dense tissue and lose its momentum.
Okay. So there's a real possibility that the bullet didn't go through the neck. So that's not really
yeah,
something that,
with a 22,
Yeah,
it depends on
what
the
I'm-
Which
cartridge.
is what?
That's what I'm
No,
saying.
no,
The
it's with
ballistics.
any bullet.
Then they didn't even get the ballistics
No, it
right.
doesn't.
From what I'm seeing, we don't have the autopsy yet. This is an article from yesterday, and we don't even know for certain. It probably was, but we don't even know for certain if a bullet was recovered. So
we don't even know if a bullet was recovered.
not the one that hit him. We
Okay,
don't know if
okay.
that was recovered.
'Cause
We
it's
know
probably-
they recovered. We know they recovered bullets from the Helldivers messages, but
Right.
we don't know that the bullet that hit Charlie Kirk was recovered. We do not have the actual public information or autopsy or investigation. Probably because it's all still pending in court, but I'm no legal expert. But there's a bunch of it is hearsay. We're going off of a bunch of internet influencers that
Mhm.
kind of like last week when I said they flood the zone with just BS. And so you end up with a lot of conspiracies about did the bullet go through his neck, what happened, how far away was the shooter, stuff like that. And you're still, what is it, like 3 months since this happened now? We're
Right.
Yep.
still cycling through the conspiracies and speculating. And
Yeah.
we're cycling through the conspiracies and speculating because people like Candace Owens make money when we do it. But
Yep.
Well, it's like watching the 5 stages of grief, man. You know what I mean? I guess.
Yeah.
I have one more question for you, Charlo, real quick, brother. Hey, so what do you think? What would be how would Turning Point profit from this type of death? Like you say, follow the money, right? What would be why would Turning Point want to? So you're saying, wait, okay, let me back up even further. So you're saying that you believe that it wasn't the kid that shot him, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any idea who you think might have been involved in this shooting?
No.
No. So it could have been anybody. So you don't know if it's like Turning Point or anything of this stuff, but you believe it wasn't the kid, but there's a bunch of different suspects in your mind as far as.
Because
Okay.
you're dealing with a lot of money. And I always know when you're dealing with a lot of money, it's always shade. It's always shady characters when you're dealing with that type of money.
But I think, okay, And I agree, right? I do agree, but I think there's more than money involved in this one. There's also politics, and that's a huge factor that we got to consider when it comes to something like this as well. Would you agree?
Yeah, and that's exactly where the money's coming from. That's what I'm trying to say. Like if you're if you're what Turning Point says they are, right, which is you just toured college campuses and you preach conservatism, and you try to talk to the youth and basically steer them in the conservative direction. Why do you get $1 million donations from Israel, and what type of what's that all about? I don't understand what those donations and stuff are for, like from foreign countries. What is that for? Like, why would they care? Like that. You gotta that's a lot going on for you just to be a debater on college campuses.
I mean, but you got to think that happens all the time. That happens with influencers and everything. I mean, Mr. Beast right now, one of the biggest influencers on there, he's got the U.S. government. I mean, he's out there doing army commercials and stuff, So
Tim
I don't.
Pool get money from the
Yeah,
Kremlin.
yeah, you know what I mean. So,
That'd be like if I seen I don't know, man. If I just don't understand what these foreign governments, and you got foreign governments involved, and this is basically our politics.
So,
Right.
so
You
let's not
I can explain that.
let's not spread
That's
stuff
easy
that
to
isn't
explain.
true. Okay, so first of all, we have there are lots of donations to go into Turning Point. A lot of them are actually, most of them are based obviously here. Doc should know this because one of the biggest ones is actually based out of Houston. But no, the state of Israel does not never donated to Turning Point. Now you have
Right.
people that are pro-Israel that have
And
donated.
that's what I was
Yeah.
talking about.
Let me just make my point here. Now you have people that are pro-Israel that have donated Turning Point. You
Right.
have like you said, there's a lot of money going around, and anytime there's a lot of money, people are like, and so that does make sense, but it doesn't make sense in terms of saying that somebody must have killed him because of that money. What you can say though is when there's a lot of money going around, some people wanted to personally profit, but that has nothing to do with saying that they somehow organized the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Because in all reality, people who want this money to keep flowing, and killing
Right.
Charlie Kirk doesn't necessarily mean that the money keeps flowing. There was a real threat that the money could have stopped. So if anything, you could say that killing Charlie Kirk would have been the antithesis of what these people wanted to do. So
if you think about it, if Charlie Kirk was messing up the money, then I would need Charlie Kirk out of there. So
I
if
mean,
Charlie
he
Kirk
was-
if I'm losing donations because of the way he's kind of flipping the script right now, I might need him out of there.
But we can look at the money, though. As you said, follow the money. We can see he wasn't losing donations. In fact, it was growing
He
and
lost
growing
a
and growing
donation
and
a
growing.
couple of days before he was killed.
No,
She got the
if you look at the annual, don't look about one person or one organization. If you look at the annual take from what Turning Point was coming in, it was increasing year after year after year after year. So if anything, he was obviously the head, the face of the organization. Even all of the other four organizations,
You're
they're
proving my
all.
point, V. If that's
I'm not.
happening and you're messing that up, and I see you're about to mess that up, I got to get rid of you, V.
Getting rid
If
of Charlie
I'm
Kirk.
making money year after year after year after year, and now all of a sudden you get a conscience and you want to split the script, I got to get rid of you, V.
But he was still
making.
making money, though. That's what I'm saying. Like there was no.
I didn't
there
say
was.
you made them broke. I didn't. That's not what I'm saying. Like, oh, you're gonna break us. What I'm saying is, if we're on a trajectory and we're going up time and time and time again, and you're trying to buck the program, I gotta get rid of you. That's how it works.
Can I ask you a question, Chavo?
Millions and millions of dollars. You don't.
Can I ask you?
Don't be naive like that.
Chavo, can I ask?
It's not being naive. That's asking for specifics on someone that's simply throwing out saying some guy killed another guy for money. But I'm asking for specifics.
If the police say that the number one suspect in the murder of a millionaire is his wife, they're wrong for that.
What do you mean?
Why would they think
though,
that?
Wait. Are you trying to say Erica is?
No.
Trying...
This is just in general. Like when if a millionaire was murdered, the number one suspect is your spouse.
It's always a spouse,
right? Because of what?
It's not just because of money, though. It's a lot of times has to do with infidelity or other issues. It's not just money. Literally, you're wrong on that one.
No, I'm
Go
not
Google it.
wrong.
You can Google it
is
right now
because of
while we're
money.
here.
And if you looked up the statistics, it's mostly because of money. Divorces mostly are because of money, V.
No, we're talking murder. You didn't say
most
divorce.
relationship
You said
problems
murder.
are because of money. The majority are because of money. The instances that you're naming off are the minimum. That's not the everyday.
We can't equate divorce with murder. So don't say that just because most divorces are because of money, that the spousal murder is because of money. That's not the case.
Dude, my
So in regard, but
my
I'm just saying,
cousin is the detective, and he
Charlo,
the first thing they look at when a spouse is murdered is insurance policy. That's the first
Right.
thing they look up because they
Right.
want to know the money, what you stand to gain from that murder. They don't care about no cheat. That's irrelevant. What do you stand to gain from this murder? That's the first thing they look up. Why? Because it has it's the number one motivator, bro.
Do we know if Turning Point has?
the number one motivator?
Do we know if Turning Point has raised more money since his passing?
I read somewhere that they are raising a ton of money
Absolutely.
since his passing. Yeah, no, I mean it's
I-
definitely
They've
it's definitely
grown
spiked.
exponentially.
Yeah,
All right,
If
because
you want to draw like the
Martyr is
Charlie
a powerful
Day conspiracy
fundraiser.
you
board,
said martyrdom, and you're right. Like you say martyrdom, because that's what they're doing with Charlie Kirk. They're kind of making him into a martyr. I'd agree with you on that.
Because
V is
thing that
giving
was
me
most
the
suspicious-
Diddy argument. Why would I
right,
kill
he is.
Diddy?
Wait,
I'm a martyr.
Hold on, Charlo. Go. What were you gonna say, Doc?
So the thing that was the most suspicious to me was that the event was live streamed. Like I don't recall there ever being another person assassinated on a live stream like this with so many people watching.
So I think on that note, it was-
Kennedy.
who? Oh, well, yeah.
That's
But-
actually a good point.
But I think it was. He did a lot of his stuff. You got in this digital age with everybody with having cameras. I don't know where the video came from, but I believe it was somebody from the
Pope.
crowd, right? Was it a crowd video that we saw when he got shot, or I don't know, and
They
stuff.
they
But
film it anyway. They film
they
him.
do. Okay.
He gets filmed at all his debates, so
I-
there's obviously going
Yeah.
to be there. But Kennedy was on camera. Donald Trump's assassination attempt was on camera. It's not really that
Pope.
Yeah.
Pope was
unusual.
on
The
camera.
Pope, they tried to shoot him. A lot of them have been on camera.
I guess I do think that on Doc's
When
point-
Reagan was shot, that was on
Yeah,
camera.
that was on camera.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just think that and I do kind of agree that there was a lot of things that were missed, when it came to the Charlie Kirk assassination. There was hardly like a guy as polarizing as that. You would think who had the kind of security that he had, you would think would have had more protection than what he had at that event.
security
The
is very
college-
expensive. So like most
Well, the thing
influencers
was,
probably-
they did have
they had security, but Charlie Kirk was
they did
an
have drones
influencer,
go
just
up
like-
and check the rooftops and everything.
Oh, I
The
didn't know that.
college said not to worry about the roof, that they would take care of it.
Go ahead, Jim.
So-
I think there's
the
a
thing
lag.
is that no matter how
No,
much security you have like this, it literally, like as we see, it only takes one person, and you can't stop all these threats. It's impossible.
No,
So you can't. So that in itself, in my opinion, is not a conspiracy to say that someone wanted him killed, for a money reason. The reason why I push back on that type of stuff, Chalo, is because it's very easy to say there's $100 million here. Someone must have had him killed for money, but you could say that about any rich person ever, right? And without facts, without something to say, this person was getting 1.5 or something like that, and they were worried about getting 1.2 million instead. It's just, okay, so every rich person ever that gets killed the reason is because the person that wanted to kill them, or the person that killed them, was afraid they were going to lose money. It's a very easy thing to say, but it's very, very hard to prove.
No doubt.
Yeah, no, I agree.
No
I agree, man.
doubt. No doubt. You asked me my opinion. That's why I said follow the money.
that's
The
okay.
money usually tells you what's going on, and like, I'm not a detective. If they could have proved it, they would have already been proved it. That's my theory on it. Like, I'm following the money. That's where usually the usual suspects end up. And you can say, "Oh, you can't prove it." No, duh, Sherlock. No, duh. If I could, I'd be rich right now. You know what
Yeah,
are you talking about?
you could do this with any high profile like murder or assassin, though. It's our conspiracy brains where we don't want to accept the simple explanation. There are some, if you want to do the Charlie Day conspiracy board, there are some logical directions you can go in with this, and you're going to some of them. Like, there is AIPAC money that I don't know the exact figures, but I'm sure they donate to Turning Point. Turning Point was very heavily pro-Israel, and one of the reasons that Candace Owens, who I'm sure we're going to get to, was no longer at Turning Point was because she went in a direction where she was no longer Israel friendly, and the two of them separated. So there's some reasonable directions to go with this if you want to chase down the conspiracy. It's just that there's no actual evidence that any of this actually happened. So
Right.
it's just our brains, because this country, I was guilty of it too. When Donald Trump got shot at, I was immediately like, when he got up and was doing the fist, I was like, oh my God, this is theater. This is freaking Shakespeare. You're kidding. So my brain does it too, and I try to avoid this stuff, but there's no evidence to it.
I agree. It's easy to get into. Jen, did you want to say something real quick?
Ken?
Well, I was trying to say something about the security. They did they sent their drones up prior to the event and checked all the rooftops. They didn't keep one up there, and that is the problem. He had a big security force, and his security guys were all standing right around him. That the Kovac, Kovet, whatever his name was, Kovelt. His main security guy that was with him when he died, and he was standing right next to him. People were like, "Oh, he's making hand signals. He's signaling the shooter," and blah blah blah. And they're like, "Who is this guy?" Yada yada yada. And I come to find out, it's his like main guy, and I have to correct myself because that's who I got the autopsy thing from, because he was the one that came out on TV and he said I spoke to the surgeon because he had Charlie's head in his lap on the ride to the hospital, and the doctor told him that there was no way he was going to survive. He would have survived even if he was like in an operating room when he got shot, because of where he got shot. And he's the one that said that there was no exit wound. So that's where I got that from. And I did hear things about people speaking about the autopsy, but no, it has not been released. So I do want to correct myself on that.
Okay. So I guess my next question would be so basically, Charlo, you believe that there's a conspiracy, right? There's some sort of conspiracy. Nancy, Jen, Doc, do you think
I
there's
don't even know if you call that a well, yeah, I guess you would.
It's a
'cause
conspiracy.
I believe that the Tyler Robinson guy's a patsy in this whole thing. I don't believe he's not involved. I believe he's involved because see, think about this, bro. This is another thing that kind of, I'm kind of like his whole thing, like you're gonna let his partner totally off, the other guy or girl or whatever he is, whatever, you're gonna let that guy, who's communicating with him the whole time, like just because he didn't pull the trigger, he's just not involved at all. Like since when?
Well,
Since when do you go assassinate somebody?
Are you talking about?
Am I talking about what?
Are you talking about his boyfriend that was his roommate? Or are you talking about the online transgender furry that he was also in a relationship with?
Whoever he was talking about, he was texting back and forth with whoever about the whole thing.
That was so the boyfriend that he lived with, he probably thought that he was just like spewing because he probably talked like that all the time. Like, oh, like people just, how people get that are like really, what's the word I'm looking for? People that are really
Different.
vocal about stuff that they like, like
passionate.
people on the left that will go out and protest and do all this. And so, they go home and they're like, oh, I could smack that person around, or I could kill that person, or whatever. And they just, they talk like that. They just have that kind of rhetoric. And maybe his boyfriend or his online girlfriend, whatever, thought that he was just talking shit just to impress them, just to like show them what his beliefs were. You don't necessarily think somebody that's going to run around saying that is actually going to do it.
Are
So,
you
I mean, I think if
are you
they
saying he had a
actually,
girlfriend as well?
No, it was what?
yeah,
Isn't
he was
he
in an
trans?
online relationship with a transgender furry
I thought
that
his
it was a
boyfriend
male to
was
female.
his boyfriend who was trans was the trans furry. I
Yeah,
thought
so
that they're one and the same. I
FY,
thought.
there's only
No,
one.
he had
There's only one
there
partner,
was some,
and there's no furries
no.
involved. She is trans. She's a guy that is transitioning to be a woman, but there's no such thing as she's not a furry. She was wearing a costume on a TikTok
Okay.
that had her in this costume, but
Yeah.
it wasn't anything. It was a onesie. I wore a onesie for Christmas. Doesn't make me a furry. So, all right. So there's no
Oh
furry
no,
involved.
not man.
Um,
You a grown ass man, dude. What you doing in a
There was
onesie?
all kinds of furry
because
talk,
the
though. I don't know if they were
person I
on a
was dating at the
website.
time had the entire family in a onesie, so I abided.
V,
I,
I'm joking. I'm
But
nah,
I'm really
I
confused.
wore an elf one, brother. Don't even worry about it. I
yeah,
had elf one
but
on.
I do want to address one thing. So
Now I'm
um,
not joking. What the hell are y'all doing, man? Wearing onesies, man.
It was a
Y'all like
Christmas party,
grown
man.
ass men.
It was a
Y'all,
family Christmas party,
man.
man. That was
I
an elf
don't care,
costume.
man, if it's a baby baptism, man. You don't, man, grown ass men don't put onesies on, man. What the hell?
Hey, man, it was a cute
Oh
pic, man.
my
I'll show it to you one
God.
day. I'm
Go,
with you,
go
V.
ahead,
V,
man. Finish.
V, I'm with
What
you,
the,
brother.
all right,
Stand,
so
stand with
so
you.
the other thing I wanted to say is I think part of the conspiracy theories come out is because we live in a TV movie culture, and
Mhm.
Chala was saying right that a lot of the marriages and that end up with the death, he was saying the majority of them are deal with money, and I just out of curiosity I googled it real quick. It turns out that in the movies 70-80% of all the crimes deal with money, like an insurance policy or so forth. That's in the movies. The reality is that 50% is because there was some sort of issue between the couple. 50% are actually a victim trying to leave, so killing the husband because it was controlling them, rape or something like that happened. Only 5 to 15% of all spousal murders have to deal with financial gain. It's literally the minority, but we live in a TV and movie world where we think that's the most common era, and we say it like it's fact. And so, going back to this issue in the turning point conspiracy here is that the reality of it is that until we can find some other thing that says no, this weird guy, and I call him weird not because of him trans or anything, the weird because he murdered somebody. This weird guy thought that he thought he could solve something by killing someone else. That is weird, and that is the issue here. But thinking just because somebody controls $80 million of wealth that there has to be someone inside his organization that wanted to kill him, that is
have
just
you heard
the
him
movie
say
trope
that, V?
conspiracy.
Have you heard him say that?
Heard him?
Yeah.
I was talking about what you were saying.
No, I mean the guy that the supposed killer, Tyler Robinson. Have you heard him say his reason for killing Charlie Kirk?
We have the Discord messages, and we have and those Discord messages pretty much lay it out. So obviously, when the trial
Yep.
comes, we will get more information. But based on the information we have today, the Discord messages and the text messages back and forth between him and his partner pretty much lay out the reason why he killed Charlie Kirk.
But Jen just said that he could be just talking shit.
Well, the thing is, we're talking about the messages after, well, at least I am. I'm talking about the message that happened after the killing, not before. So he explained to his partner what
Right.
happened.
I was talking about prior.
Right. So she's talking about before, and I'm talking after. And so what happened afterwards was when Tyler was basically saying, "I did this for us, my love," and I did, and he was talking about the fact that Charlie Kirk, he literally said that trans people should be executed like they were executed back in the 50s and 60s, and his partner is a trans woman. So and that's not the only thing that Charlie Kirk said, but that is a motive, right? If you're dating someone that's trans and someone out there very prominent is going from church to church to church to church, and he's saying that trans people should be executed, hey, that's going to drive
He didn't
someone
say
that.
that.
Yeah, he actually did.
Never said
I
No, he
actually have.
didn't.
He never
I
said
literally have a
that.
video of
He
him
never
saying
said
that.
that.
Regardless, even if you don't believe it,
used those
even if
exact
you don't
words,
believe
he
it,
came
Tyler
close.
Robinson believed
He
he
didn't
did.
say
Okay,
anything close to it.
he said
Yeah,
we
he
should
dropped the
treat.
link.
He said we should treat trans people the way they were treated back in the 50s and 60s. That's what he said.
Yeah, if that doesn't imply lynching them, that at least
exactly.
That is not-
implies
That's
beating
not
None
saying
of that
nobody
is
Taking out of
true.
assassinated.
context.
Nobody
Well, I
ever
don't
got
want. I'm not
assassinated
going to
in a-
argue about it, but none of that is true.
I mean, should I send
Yeah.
you the clip of him saying it?
He was
You can
talking
send me
about
any
with
clip you
mental
want, as long
health.
as you send me everything he said and not just the clip.
So you want the
He did-
4-hour podcast? You
No,
want,
I mean everything
mean,
in the conversation that he was
that's a
discussing.
4-hour podcast. So you want the 4-hour podcast?
No.
Then what do you mean
He
everything?
was talking about with mental health. He wasn't talking about executing them. That's insane.
Yeah, yes, it is insane because he is insane. That's a lot of
Whatever,
the problem.
whatever.
is.
That's not what we're talking about. So let's
Yeah.
move on.
I think that when you think of the Tyler kid, you got to remember that this was a kid that was growing up in a very Christian family.
Yep.
And he was himself dealing with his sexuality that he knew that his family was never going to accept.
right.
That has to be hard on a kid.
Yep.
And so he moved out, you know what I mean? And you got to think of his mental health. It's probably degraded over the time. And Charlie Kirk, he was anti-LGBTQ, you know what I mean? And he's an easy person to pinpoint a lot of your anger at, would be like Charlie Kirk. He's a very polarizing figure. So I don't think it's so much as a conspiracy theory or a conspiracy of him getting killed. I do believe it's the lone gun man. I believe it was this kid. I believe that he was a troubled kid. And I think that his family knew that he was troubled. It's part of the reason why they probably turned him in. You know what I mean? Like they I think they probably knew deep down inside that there was something troubling going on with their son. So that's just my opinion. I know, Charlo, you think there's a little conspiracy to it. I was going to ask Doc, what did you think? Conspiracy, or do you think it's it's kind of cut and dry, or what do you kind of believe?
I think so. What stands out to me is a lot of the weirdness that happened afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So we see a lot of increased spotlight on the company, and then we see the wife stepping out on stage with Vance, and then there's a lot of interesting dialogue between the two of them. Talk about converting Vance's wife converting, and maybe it's just the way it's being portrayed, but it just seemed like a lot of weirdness. In addition to them sort of ushering Vance into sort of the throne or the heir to Turning Point, it just seems like there was a lot of just interesting goings on immediately afterwards. And watching that, I can see why people would start to look backwards and wonder, what happened before this. I'm not convinced that there's any conspiracy. Like I said, I'm waiting for the facts to come out to see if they really make sense or not. But I'm not convinced about conspiracy. But I am suspicious about a lot of things that have happened since the assassination.
I can actually
This
agree
is
with
my
that
thing.
because, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
This
Go ahead.
is my thing, bro. Just like you saying, Doc. I mean, why haven't we found out any facts? You don't even know if this dude is buried or not. They're keeping that a secret. What is all this around it for? If it's just cut and dry, and then it's just like you said, it's a lot of weird stuff going on around with this. And if you're his wife, if your spouse, gets assassinated, you just leave it at that. Oh yeah, it was the kid on top of the roof, and that's it. And you see all this other weird stuff going on. I mean, you don't question anything. You're just fine with it. Let's just move on it. Let's just move past it. I don't believe that. I just don't believe it, man. That's weird behavior to me.
He was buried. They're keeping the burial site private. The reason they're keeping the burial site private is, if you noticed, when they were having memorials, people were coming in, trancing him and desecrating things. So they don't want people to know where he's buried. It's as simple as that.
They
That's,
went to
I
the
mean,
headquarters
it's very
and
understandable because he's very controversial and there are a lot of
yep.
people who hate him, and they would go and they would desecrate the grave. So therefore they decided to keep the grave site private amongst family and very, very close friends.
No, I get
So,
that. I totally get that. I totally get why
so
they.
that's
Yep.
what that's about.
I, I,
Um,
I
and
think.
Erica has explained that. So
Yeah, I just
I,
think. I think. I feel what Doc's kind of saying a
Yep.
little
And
bit on
as
the. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Jen. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, that's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so but I
Go
kind of
ahead.
feel
Say
like
what you're gonna say. I'll say it after.
okay, cool. No, so I kind of, but I kind of see what Doc was kind of saying about like it's kind of weird afterwards. So I understand that people grieve differently. Everybody grieves their own certain way, right? But like I feel like a lot of the stuff that's happened afterwards is very tone deaf. Her coming out like a WWF wrestler or whatever like that with sparklers and everything and all that kind of thing with the grand ceremony and stuff. And to me, it felt fake. To me, it felt like it was staged. To me, it felt like, okay, now we're putting on a show for people. We're not really honoring the memory of this young man that got killed. This is us trying to move forward. We got a $500 million enterprise right now that we need to keep going. And so here we are right now. We're going to capitalize on this young man's murder at this moment because right now we have all the attention, donations coming in and everything like that. I feel like that's a little strange. I don't think that, and again, I can't call it because again, everybody does grieve differently. So I don't want to say that her grief isn't real, but I did find it a little perplexing, a lot of the stuff that happened afterwards as well, just as Doc has.
can I give a counterpoint to that? Just a
Absolutely.
possibility.
Absolutely.
Charlie Kirk was Turning Point. It was his baby. It was something he worked on since he was 18 years old. He loved Turning Point. He loved sparklers, fireworks, and all that, which is why they included that. They did have a private service prior to this, and this was for people who followed Charlie. It was for all the people who felt the loss, but they weren't immediate family and close friends. So it was something she also wanted to make sure that, or they wanted to make sure that people understood that Turning Point will go on. Okay. And it was Charlie's baby, and she knows what it meant to Charlie, and she knew what it would mean to him for it to go on. Possibility.
I'll just throw it out there that, and yes, I appreciate you saying, Rashawn, everyone grieves differently, because I'll be the first to throw an Erica Kirk joke out there, but I really don't criticize her for kind of continuing the work because she's probably passionate about it. But additionally, these are opportunistic people from a megachurch culture. They're doing something that comes pretty naturally to them. So the
Right.
gigantic
Yeah,
funeral,
Jim, you might,
the fireworks, the sequins, this is natural to them.
Yeah.
It was
that's
his memorial service
exactly
was a
what
media
it felt
event,
like.
and they made it a true media event.
Right.
That's exactly what it looked like, Jim. A mega church, kind of, that's exactly what it looked like. It didn't seem authentic. It didn't
These
seem
are
authentic.
prosperity gospel enthusiasts. Like,
Yeah.
this is normal for them.
Yeah. And I also think its purpose was not the same as us getting together for a family member who's died. The purpose of it was different. So,
I think that's why I find it so crazy during the interview where Erica was speaking with, I think it was for CBS or whatever, and she was talking about how Candace was making money off of her conspiracy theories, like she's making all this money off her conspiracy theories, and I'm like, but you're doing the exact same thing,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's kind of how I felt. I felt like you're doing exactly the same thing as Candace is doing. So why are you knocking her hustle when she's hustling just exactly as you are right now? Can't nobody
because
tell me.
Yeah.
it's not a hustle
Probably
to
'cause there's
Erica. It
bad
was
blood there.
her husband's life. It's not a hustle for her. It's continuing on his work. So if you look at it in that aspect, and she's got to keep it going, So if you look at it in that aspect, it's very different than what Candace is doing.
Mm.
I
I mean,
mean,
they're both spitting out
Well,
some type of propaganda. The only difference, in my opinion, is that one's a very large organization and they pretend to have the word of God behind them, and the other one comes up with theories about Egypt and Israel and all this other stuff and is raking in a lot of money on it. The premise is different, but in reality, they're both spewing propaganda. It's
so
really not all that different.
Propaganda to them.
so you don't think
To
that the Candace
I think
Owens
they believe it.
motivation is friendship? You think
I'm sorry.
you don't think she's doing all this investigating because of friendship? She's just for
No.
Oh, she's doing it to
No.
make
No,
money. She's doing it
no.
to make money. I mean, I don't
No.
even think she
Absolutely.
believes half the stuff that she
She,
spouts out there. I mean, you can look at her download numbers, which is how you know like how much money she's making. She went from 1 million downloads to 4 million downloads. She's doing this for a real reason, and the reason is money and nothing else.
she is a
Right.
vicious,
Yep.
unrepentant grifter.
Yeah.
Okay. I just know she need to get her hair done, man. That just be killing me, man. The whole hair thing in front of millions of people, like, dude, you make way too much money to be coming out there all the time with your hair not done. I'll give you
I
one
missed
once
that
a
that's
one.
time.
hey Charlo, that's what happens when you alienate every black person in your life, man.
Dude, that is just ridiculous. I mean, you can't even like, dude, you can't stop getting your shit cut as sport clips. Go to a real hair salon and get your hair done. Like for real. Like that doesn't make any sense. I mean, if you could have fooled me with all this money talk, because she like I look at her hair and I do not think money at all. And her outfits. I mean, it's super corny. They're not like, I'm just saying. Like if she's making a lot of money, I don't see the money. She don't wear it.
She's also defending herself against the Macrones, but that's a different story.
I mean,
Oh,
I don't even know why she even tried doing that. It's so stupid. Like, why would you care that much about? First of all, his wife is not trans, but even if she was, who the hell cares? Why would you make that like stick about it? What
Well,
is
they,
stupid? Like, it literally makes no sense. She's not part of the
the,
United States. She's not in government here. Like, it makes no sense.
the
It's
the
literally just for
story
money.
I don't
the
even know why
story
she
of the
went there.
Macrones is batshit enough without that. So
I think you're looking at. I mean, it's grift. It's grifting, man. This is all a con. Like, you know what I mean? Like you see it all the time on the internet and stuff. You got people like me and Charles were joking one day. We could become like black Republicans and we could probably make a bunch of dollars, just like the Hodge twins do. You know what I mean? Not believe nothing we say.
Like the Hodge twins.
Yeah, you know what I mean? We could do that. And we could make a lot of money like that because there's a crowd for that, right? There's a lot of, and I'm not saying Republicans are racist, but there's a lot of racist Republicans out there that would that love black people to tell them that they're right. We see it all the time. You know what I mean? So I mean, to me, I feel like a lot of this is a grift. It's a big grift. I mean, Candace is a grift. I think Erica, Turning Point, is all a grift. These people, I couldn't believe the amount of donations coming in right after his death to a woman that's already a millionaire. Like people are spending
For what? To talk on college campuses, you do not need $85 million to go to college campuses and talk.
Well, see, it was different. I mean, I agree with you, but it's more than that. Turning Point was becoming a movement. It wasn't just going to college campuses to talk. They saw Turning Point as okay. So the Republicans are terrible with the youth. They're terrible with the youthful base, right? They don't usually get that vote. Charlie Kirk was turning a lot of that youth towards them, and they were getting that vote all of a sudden, and that's huge to them. That's why he was so important to them. You know what I mean? That's exactly why he was so important. So that's why Turning Point, to me, in my opinion, and maybe I'm wrong, was blowing up the way it was because they found a way to finally capture the youth. That's constantly a demographic that the Republican Party cannot get on their side.
One thing I want to make sure.
Got him elected.
Yeah, you're right, Jen.
One thing here I talked about this before with Leonard Leo, and you talk about how the money goes through one organization and goes to another, right? So Turning Point has multiple divisions. One of them is a lobbying division, and with the new rules that they exist right after Citizens United, not everything has to be disclosed. So one of their biggest donors is Donors Trust, right? One of the same organizations that donate to Leonard Leo, who helped get certain Supreme Court justices on the court so you can overturn Roe v. Wade. That same organization donates a Turning Point. Turning Point has a lobbying arm. They can now donate to other organizations without disclosing that they have done so because of this dark money law, essentially, that Supreme Court allowed. So it is not just, as Chalo was saying, it doesn't take $90 million to talk on campuses, but they are literally just taking money from some organizations and shifting it and sending money to other political organizations. And that ends up with political contributions that aren't disclosed that are coming from Turning Point. That's how our political discourse is now, because the people that get elected don't necessarily have to, because of PACs, they don't have to disclose who's actually donating to them. So think about this. Remember, 90 million comes in, 90 million isn't being spent on colleges. We don't know how much is being spent to get Republicans elected in different states and or federal government or wherever it is. We just don't know the information because the law does not require them to disclose it.
It's interesting, man.
And that's that I like that, V. And what I'm saying is, like, when you're in control of that much money, like, if you're not with the program, bro, like, you gotta go. Like, you start shifting in any way, you got to go. Like he was just saying, like, you don't need 85 million to talk on a campus. So they're shifting that money into politics for real through
They're
donations.
shifting it in a
So
pocket too.
So what was he shifting? Oh, sorry. What was he
I don't
shifting?
think they were stealing like that. I think, you got lobbyists and stuff that got to get paid, and that's where that money goes. As far as that goes, but that's a whole nother cog. Like, I don't believe that when he, like Nancy said, that was his baby. I don't believe when he set out to do it, he had that intention that it was going to grow those legs and that's what it was going to get into. I don't think that was his intention. His intention was to talk to the people about his ideas and his thoughts, just like most YouTubers or, social media influencers do. But like when it got a life of its own, which when you get into the millions of donated money, it no longer becomes your baby. You become beholden to other people when they're giving you millions and millions. It ain't like he was doing work for them, going over and building houses and getting millions. He was like, when you donate, it's just like the lobbyists. When you donate a certain amount of money, you expect a certain result.
Right.
It doesn't matter what you think. I gave you my money and I want my result, and that's how your life becomes. Like,
He lost a $2 million donor because he agreed to have Tucker Carlson on stage, and that's why he lost a $2 million donor, because they've determined Tucker Carlson to be an anti-Semite. So he lost a Jewish donor. So that's part of where the conspiracy comes in, from the Jewish aspect. But Charlie didn't want to be dictated to about who in the conservative movement can speak and not speak. He had everybody. He wanted to include everybody, but he was starting to lose donors because of that. That was one reason. So I'm just going, confirming with your money.
One narrative.
I'm just the
He
point
wanted
I'm making
everybody's
is,
voice to be heard.
yeah, and that's what he wanted because it was his baby. But like, now we're bigger than
Right.
just your baby, bro. Like, people eat off this. A lot of people eat off this, bro, and we're not gonna let you mess this up for us. I'm telling you, I wish I could give you
I can see
solid
what you're saying,
corporate
and
examples, but that happens in corporate world all the time. Like, it could be your company, you make shoes and you make the best shoes there are, but when people start investing in your company, if after so much investment, the shoe company is not yours anymore, and it's your baby.
Right.
You started it in your garage and it was your baby, but it's not yours anymore.
yeah, and he was
Right. Stay here.
And he was refusing to give in to those donors who were trying to say, do this, do that. And he said, no, I'm not going to do that. So I can see where you might say that could be part of where the conspiracy comes in. Except I don't feel that there's any evidence to back it at all.
No, I'm not.
I mean-
I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's not a far reach when you're
Yeah.
bucking the system and then you lose your life. Like, with that type of money involved, and you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
switch it up, or you might not want to be gone because we might have gave you the opportunity to just leave the company, and if if you think that way, go start another company. We're going to keep continuing this one, and he might not agree with that. We don't know
Right.
what type of like backdoor, but what I'm saying
Right.
is when you're dealing in the almost $100 million, there's that type of stuff going on. So it's not a far reach to say, like, if he's bucking the system, that they got rid of him. That's not a far reach. I'm not saying that happened. I'm saying it's not a far reach. It's not really super conspiracy like, man, Wizard of Oz, man behind it. It's really not that far of a reach. It's not.
Well,
Yeah.
here's why it's the far reach, because no one's going to disagree that when there's money that you may want to replace somebody. But we're talking about murder. Now, on top of murder, now you're talking about the cover-up to murder, right? So we cannot simply say, well, there's a lot of money involved. It's not a far reach that someone's going to kill somebody.
It's
Because
a far
again,
reach that somebody got murdered for $100 million company and they tried to cover the murder up. That's not that.
we're not
far
talking about
reach.
one person, right? We would be talking about thousands of people that would have to cover this up. There's not just one person that would cover it up.
Thousands of people.
Well, how many people investigated the case, right? You're talking about local police. You're talking about FBI. You're talking about
And
the
none of them
amount
even
of
found the
individuals and
killer.
officers.
None of them even found the killer, V. None of them found the killer.
The-
All
the
their
thing
But
I would throw
the
in
point
here-
that you're making is that there is a cover up, that someone else killed him, and that they're covering up who actually
I'm not
killed him.
making the point that there is one. So you keep putting shit in my mouth, dude. I
You
didn't
just
say
said-
that.
you
I said
just
it's not
said-
a far reach. If you're dealing with $1 million company and you're bucking the system for you to disappear,